the bottom line. The president's first full cabinet meeting was a little unusual. Each member spent several minutes going around the table heaping praise upon the president.
Thank you, Mr. President, and just the greatest privilege of my life is to serve as Vice President to a president who's keeping his word to the American people.
Mr. President, I'm privileged to be here, deeply honored, and I want to thank you for keeping your commitment to the American workers.
Mr. President, what an incredible honor it is to lead the Department of Health and Human Services at this pivotal time under your leadership. I can't thank you enough for the privilege that you've given me and the leadership that you've shown.
Mr. President, thank you for the honor to serve the country. It's a great privilege you've given me.
On behalf of the entire senior staff around you, Mr. President, we thank you for the opportunity and the blessing that you've given us to serve your agenda and the American people.
Only the Secretary of Defense did it differently, talking about the honor of serving the men and women who fight for this country and that sense of privilege. So let's get the bottom line with CNN senior political commentator David Axelrod. Is this media cynicism? Is this a good thing that, you know, it's nice to be nice to the president? Everybody's so tough on him all the time.
I think it was embarrassing. I was thinking about, I sat in many cabinet meetings when I was in the White House. I think the president would have burst out laughing if a couple of people had gone down the row doing that, because it was so clearly orchestrated. It felt very North Korean, you know, everybody giving praise to the leader. I think what's happened is that Donald Trump is in a deep hole. His polling numbers are bad, and we know that he reads them. The general narrative is negative about accomplishments, and he's trying to create an alternative reality, and they're trying to keep his spirits up, and so we get what is this new reality show. But at the end of the day, only General Mattis walked out of there with his dignity.
But I am curious about what it's like in the White House. Don't you have to be sort of sycophantic to the president? Yes, Mr. President. How high? You know, let me jump up when he walks into the room.
Not if you have a secure president. There's no doubt that there is an aura to the presidency, and when you walk in that Oval Office, you feel it, and there is a tendency to want to agree with the president, but to heap this sort of
but it's about something else.
Praise on the president.
It's a projection of a certain perspective. You hear it with the podcast, you hear it when you do your speaking, you hear it at your university in Chicago. People say, you guys are too tough on the president. It's always negative. Where's the nice stories? Where's the positive stuff? What do you answer?
Well, my answer is, having been there, no one would argue that Barack Obama was the target of derision generally on the part of the media, but there were times when we were completely under siege, and you felt it. You know, the president.
But they say it's
more
and different
president
with Trump. Is that fair
criticism? Well, I mean, the fact that sometimes you follow the facts, and the facts create that sense. I have no doubt that there are times when people are unfair to Donald Trump. There are times when people are unfair to politicians generally, and he has chosen the media as a straw man to operate against. That's part of his political strategy. So we have that dynamic. But at the end of the day, the news media has an obligation to report what is happening and what is not happening. Now, I will say this. I do think, as serious as this Russia probe is, and I think it's deadly serious, and not just because of what the Trump involvement may or may not have been, but because of what Russia has done, there are a lot of other things going on every day that are important on health care, on banks and financial reform, on deregulation. I mean, and those things actually have more bearing on the day-to-day lives of people, and they get submerged in this frenzy over the coverage of this scandal.
This is exactly the point that the RNC chair, Ronna McDaniel, was just making on our air. Can't we be done, she said, with this investigation because it's eclipsing everything else?
You know, let me say, I think there's a strategy on the part of the White House now to try and besmirch these probes, and the Mueller piece is part of it. But I go back to what I said before on the Russia piece. They can't stop because Russia's not stopping. And whatever happens in terms of their conclusion about collusion, those committees need to get to the bottom of what Russia did and how we stop it, because this is a threat to democracy.
Yeah, and their work is not done, obviously.
Absolutely not.
David Alexrod, great to see you. Great to have you in the studio.
Always good to see you guys. Yeah, happy to be here.
Thanks so much.
All right.